Hi. Official recaps here.
In the middle of Kenya, a helicopter suddenly crashes to the ground, causing all the locals to run away in panic. A group of American soldiers guides the locals out of town as they take positions to find the attacker, only for two soldiers to suddenly disappear in a puff of smoke. The group immediately opens fire at an invisible enemy, but when the leader turns around, he sees something explode. The discharge sends him flying and knocks him out. After a while, the soldier awakens in a prison cell and finds himself unable to recall his name, where he is, or how he got there. His arm has a deep gash, the police station is completely destroyed, and the electricity is out. In search of answers, he looks around and notices a loose brick on the wall. He removes it to look outside and sees that everything is in complete chaos and that a helicopter has crashed to the ground. He begins to cry out for aid, but the inmate in the adjacent cell chastises him for raising a fuss since it will lead to their execution. Her name is Nadia and she's a French doctor who had been working in a foreign aid hospital for a little over 2 years. The building begins to tremble and power outlets spark as a loud stomping noise outside occurs. Nadia explains that machine-like aliens have invaded the entire planet. Terrified, the man disregards Nadia's advice and begins screaming for assistance through the hole once more. Sadly, she is correct, and soon afterward a number of men show up at the police station looking for problems. They remember that there's a special reward for catching Americans after killing the hostage they brought, but Nadia doesn't understand what they're saying. When the American shows that he can communicate with them in their language and tries to negotiate, they just laugh and release him. The group leader and the soldier engage in combat right away, trading blows for a few hits before they both fall through the window. In the meantime, the other two thugs break into Nadia's cell, but she quickly uses a glass shard to defend herself and grabs the thug's gun to finish him off. Nadia finds another loose brick and hits the other guy, who puts up a stronger fight and pushes her against the wall. She then takes his weapon and shoots him as well. The American soldier shoots the leader while stealing a weapon outside at the same moment. To the American surprise, he manages to grab the taser that the other thug is chasing after and send the electric shock back to him, electrocuting him. He turns around and sees the alien robots pursuing him before he can come to terms with the fact that he has powers. This is what made the stomping sound, and it's terrifyingly large. The American soldier rushes to hide inside a crashed car as people flee in fear, but the robot is still able to scan him from a distance and then simply walks away. The American soldier then returns inside for Nadia, who chooses to call him that after noticing the word, Bo, written on his sleeve. Bo tends to his arm wound after they take some weapons from the thugs, and then they depart the station, passing more bodies as they go. Bo believes it is useless to travel to the US Army base, but Nadia disagrees. 8 days ago, every satellite fell out of the sky, so everyone is probably already dead and they won't be able to call for help. Bo wants to fight, but he doesn't want to stay and do nothing because it's too risky to travel alone. Finally, Nadia agrees to accompany him. In an attempt to ignore the bodies strewn about, they gather as much food and water as they can find before escaping in a stolen vehicle. As they travel, Nadia explains that she has experience fighting because she was trained as an army doctor in the past. They have to stop when a few bullets burst through the car window, only to find Kenyan soldiers are all around them. In an attempt to persuade, Nadia poses as a doctor requesting passage and claims that Bo is her escort. She also offers them some water. One of the soldiers freaks out when he sees Bo's circle tattoo and says the two are from the dish while they are fighting. Using the diversion as cover, Bo captures the man and seizes his gun, shooting a few soldiers with it before making a demand to learn about his tattoo. The reason for attacking the pair, according to a soldier, was that it is thought that the American dishes, which are the only ones left standing, are what prompted the drones to invade Earth. He also mentions that there is a heavily guarded American radar station close to the west border that uses the same symbol. Then, a second soldier tries to attack Bo, but this time, he swiftly defends himself and is distracted by another flash of memory, so he doesn't fire. Bo and Nadia then use the soldier's jeep to return to the road in search of the radar station. When Bo removes his bandage, he finds that his wound resembles an arrow pointing toward the dish, suggesting that visiting the station would be a wise decision. They come across a warning sign in front of a town a short while later, but they are at a loss for which route to go. They discover loose electric cables all over the road, which could be extremely dangerous as they travel through town. But at that very moment, a robot emerges behind them, making it impossible for them to turn around. As the robot pursues them and fires, they are forced to drive through the cables, which eventually causes the jeep to break down. The robot follows after a man and his daughter after the two abandon the car and flee on foot to hide behind some ancient debris. When the robot turns to face them, it doesn't attack them for some reason, even though it kills the man instantly in front of his daughter, prompting Nadia to fire her gun to save the girl. The girl is killed in the end, though, and it disappears. As night falls and the two set up camp, Nadia reveals that her family perished in the extraterrestrial assault. When several fighter jets fly by out of nowhere, Bo is relieved to see that fighting is still going on. They have to walk back to the road in the morning. They travel many miles and encounter amazing animals as well as a great deal of corpses and devastation. Eventually they hear a noise that almost sounds like a voice speaking English, but when they follow it, they discover is a recording set by a group of locals as a trap. The duo is soon surrounded and captured to be taken to a destroyed building, where they're chained to a wrecked car. At that moment, two people pass near them on bikes, and behind them there's a robot also coming. Bo realizes the locals are using them as bait to hunt the robots. When the robots are close enough, the hunters activate a mine that explodes right under the robot before they open fire like crazy. But the robot doesn't appear to take any damage, so the hunters surround it with a chain before using an electrical surge to bring it down. Sadly, additional robots keep approaching and open fire rapidly, killing the majority of the hunters in a matter of seconds. Bo manages to take off their chains in the midst of the fighting, and the two run for cover as the bikers drive off, setting off the robots to pursue them. When the adversary has advanced sufficiently, Bo and Nadia return to the road. Bo nearly opens fire when he spots a light as they are crossing a bridge, but it turns out to be a photojournalist with his camera. He goes by Stander, and he has a ton of pictures that he has taken to record the aliens' arrival. He has suffered injuries and witnessed the spaceships taking people away, but he doesn't believe he will survive. Stander shows the two every photo he's ever taken, including an intense image of a child hurling a rock at a robot and evidence that the aliens are utilizing Earth's electrical power. Bo and Nadia take Stander away even though he doesn't want to be saved when they hear an explosion nearby. After they locate a structure to hide out in, Stander discovers Bo's tattoo. After identifying it and presenting him with a photo of the radar station, he tries to negotiate by offering them the camera in exchange for putting him to death. Stander begins yelling and purposefully throwing objects to draw the attention of the robots because Bo keeps having flashbacks of someone dying and won't kill an innocent person. Nadia chokes Stander to death after realizing she has no other option if she wants to live. The two then head back out on the road, only this time they utilize the photos as a guide to determine which direction will get them to the radar station the fastest. Bo occasionally has flashes of memories as they walk for miles on end, but not enough to comprehend anything. The camera runs out of juice when they get to another deserted town, so they have to steal another car to continue. A few hours later, while driving down the middle of the road, the two stop to investigate strange noises they hear on the car radio. They discover a broken robot close by. Although it's encouraging to see they can be overcome, Bo continues to wonder what their weakness is. They quickly jump back in the car to flee after hearing a stomping sound and noticing smoke nearby. When hundreds of robots suddenly appear behind them and begin to chase after them while firing freely, the two flee from the car and seek refuge inside a house. Fearfully, they cling to one another as they descend to the basement, but before they can even plant a kiss, the roof starts to suddenly lift. The couple is also being sucked up by the alien spacecraft, but only Nadia is taken away in a matter of seconds as Bo is lowered to the ground. Memories flash through his mind just before he collapses and passes out. When Bo wakes up later, he finds that his leg hurts. He must proceed on his own, moving slowly and weakly due to the condition of his leg, after clearing the debris from the wound. When he eventually arrives at the radar station, he is horrified to see that the aliens have destroyed everything, including the dish. He chooses to track down the people who wrote the graffiti after observing that it is recent and discovers another town in the process. When he gets to the streets, he sees a group of people fleeing from the robots. To his surprise, he discovers that this group is equipped with a unique weapon that lets them defeat their adversary. Just then, he sees two robots approaching him, but they are not the same model. They approach him and look him over, but they don't do anything. Bo's mind is stimulated by this, and he recalls launching a rocket at a robot. In the process, one of his teammates suffered severe injuries, so Bo had to end his suffering. Bo loses consciousness due to the sudden memories. He finds himself in a shelter after being rescued by the locals when he wakes up later. Bo meets Kara and Juma, his saviors, and tells them his story after a doctor attends to his leg injury. Kara questions why Nadia was taken by the aliens but not Bo, to which Juma replies that Nadia isn't returning because those ships never return the people they take. In a desperate attempt to find a solution, they bring Bo to see Roderick, an engineer who has created the EMP devices that can stop the robots and is currently developing a larger one. In an attempt to take down the alien spaceship system and simultaneously destroy every robot, he intends to blow this one off directly beneath it. They haven't been able to approach the ship closely enough, though, because it only appears when there is a sizable throng surrounding it with robots. Roderick receives a message from the guards outside abruptly, alerting him to the approaching hundreds of robots in their town. Juma questions whether they were tracked, and the combination of his remarks and Roderick's illustrations of the aliens causes Bo to recollect a significant event. When he and his team witnessed the explosion that day, a robot grabbed him and put wires in his mouth to implant a tracker in his spine. Bo made the arrow on his arm before he passed out. The robots have been pursuing him ever since to locate more people in hiding places. Bo comes up with a better plan. They can use him to draw the ship and eventually use Roderick's device. While the group is preparing to locate the ship's typical kidnapping locations, Bo believes he is seeing Nadia again. Sadly, it's just a woman who shares her appearance. After arming the team, they use a tunnel to transport the weapons safely to downtown. Unfortunately, they unintentionally set off a hidden bomb that kills a few of them as soon as they emerge. They see the spaceship flying in the opposite direction at that point, so they go back through the tunnel to pursue it just as a large robot starts shooting at them. It eliminates 2 more team members, but due to its size, it is unable to pursue them. Unfortunately, after a while of walking, they come across the smaller robots. They immediately open fire, injuring Kara. Kara orders the team to leave while she stays with the grenades to buy them some time, even though the team manages to shoot down the robots before they can kill anyone. With the device in hand, the group flees, and Kara is killed by a powerful explosion that stops the approaching robots. Juma and a medical professional are attempting to assist individuals in the shelter in the meantime, but smaller drones have also made their way to this region. Although the doctor is soon killed, Juma is able to escape quickly enough to reach his people. When they find that the robots are entering through the vents while they are trying to expedite the evacuation, they decide to engage in combat. Upon the robot's release, the indigenous people encircle him and mercilessly assault it. When the team returns, they discover a number of robots assembling individuals for the approaching spacecraft. Bo deters the robots by hurling one of Roderick's EMP grenades at it, which causes it to explode and causes people to begin fleeing. But the robots try to pursue them and start shooting, damaging Roderick's EMP device's battery. Bo remembers the image and throws a rock at the robots to divert their attention while Roderick tries in vain to fix it. However, the robots only give him a fleeting glance before attacking people once more. Bo then gets an idea after recalling that the tracker had responded to the robot's electrical power. He uses one hand to touch the fallen robot and the other to transfer power, which hurts him a lot but also successfully turns on the device. Immediately after, there is an EMP explosion that destroys every robot in a matter of seconds, including the ones inside the shelter, without injuring anyone. As power goes out in the whole area, the spaceship also starts falling and eventually crashes on Earth in another huge explosion. While the people around them realize the war against aliens is finally over, Roderick checks on Bo, who is finally getting the rest of his memories back. However, he decides to keep his name as Bo.